Om Shanti. So welcome all of you. And before we start, we'll spend a minute in silence and we'll invoke the Divine Being. So welcome all of you from the different parts of the world. Good morning, good afternoons, and good evenings. And a very, very warm welcome. We are very fortunate to have with us respected Dr. Nirmala Didi joining us despite having a busy schedule from the Gyan Sarovar Academy, which we have at Mount Abu. And before I proceed with the formal introduction and the topic of tolerance, I would request Brother Eric, who is the National Coordinator of Canada, to welcome Sister Nirmala Didi. Over to you, Eric, brother.
Yeah. Thank you, Manoj Bhai. Om Shanti, everyone, and loving greetings. And now when we say warm greetings, I think some parts of the world understand the warmth even differently, since it is so hot physically in many parts of the world. So it is indeed a very warm greeting. And we're really happy to welcome Didi Nirmala in this session. But, you know, Nirmala Didi, this is, yes, Zoom world. So it is international, but we're proud to have this meeting rooted in Canada. And although Manoj is in India and all the team is all over the world, the thought holding this program also comes from Vancouver. So it is a way for us, a tricky way, to bring you to us here in Canada. And we know each other and we've known you for a long, long time. And in the beginning, we used to know you as, the senior from Australia and Asia Pacific, of course. And now this, identity of Madhuban, which comes with you. And when we welcome you to Canada, it feels like we're welcoming not only you, but the whole of Madhuban, which is our spiritual headquarters, our very beloved space that we want to visit every year. So it is very unique for you to come here in the comfort of your seat. You can imagine now you're in Canada. So you have big mountains around you, the Pacific Ocean, maple syrup all over flowing, maybe rivers of maple syrup around you. And of course, a wonderful Canadian family that you meet in India every year. And the bonds are very close. The love is very strong. And it's an honor to really welcome you in Canada in this beautiful world of subtle energy that we now create with Zoom. I know in India and in Madhuban, you have thousands of roses, but we have a special Canadian rose, huge. It's big like my head almost. It's a huge, huge rose. Here you are. Thank you. And I know Manoj Bhai will introduce you formally, but I can say that when we think of you, our heart feels connected in a real way. And what I've always appreciated when I've been meeting you and attending your sessions is how you bring spirituality at a level which is real. And I know you have intoxication. I know you have great love and excitement about the spiritual life, but you know how to make it real. And I've always enjoyed how you helped us to live our spiritual life grounded, as we say, very well grounded. So congratulations for remaining real, being authentic, being truth, and allowing us to see the truthfulness of the diamond when we meet you. So welcome again to Canada. It's a privilege. I hope soon we can invite you with your body, and you can come and bring your body along. But at the moment, we'll accept your body to stay in India. So very, very warm welcome, Didi Nirmala, and lots of love on behalf of the whole Canadian family.
Thank you, Eric.
So thank you so much, Brother Eric. Immensely thankful for the beautiful white flower, and it really is a big contribution from your side to Didi Nirmala. And I really would ask all the audience to tolerate me today for next 5 to 10 minutes, because I would want to give an elaborate introduction of Didi, because she holds a very important place for all of us, not only in our heart, but also as an organizational head of the Brahma Kumaris. And also I'll be reciting a small poem which I have started doing of late many times. And I'm apologetic if I am very fast in my speech, because it takes a lot of effort to slow down the tempo, but I'm trying my best to do it. So I'll just introduce first, as all of you know in the introduction pamphlets, that Didi Nirmala has been recently appointed as the joint administrative head of the Brahma Kumaris. And before that, she has been the regional coordinator and even continues to be the regional coordinator for the Asia Pacific region, which we also called her as the director of Australasia regions. And wherein since 1979, she has overseen the expansion in almost 17 countries. Let me just take you back to Didi Nirmala's good old days. She's almost now more than 85 years, you can see, but she's so vibrant and full of energy. And she actually joined before me, I must say. In 1965, she established a medical clinic because she was a medical practitioner as well. But after running 7 years of the medical practice, she stopped practicing medicine to dedicate all her energy to the spiritual service. And in lieu of this, from 1971 onwards till 1978, these 7 years, she actually was instrumental in establishing a lot of Brahma Kumari centers, I must say, in these 5 countries, in the United Kingdom, Africa, Zimbabwe, Zambia, a part of Africa, and Mauritius as well. And then from 1978 onwards, she's returned back to Australia, and for next 30 years till 2008, she was the regional coordinator of that region, and she still continues to be. And then after our great Dadi Prakashmani left the body in 2007, since 2009 onwards, Didi Nirmala has been stationed at the Gyan Sarovar Academy, which we have in Mount Abu, and she serves the director of that campus. And we are very, very fortunate that Didi has taken out this time from her schedule. And I would really, really thank once again to her for this beautiful gesture on her part. And the next bit of it, which I'll do, is I'll just speak a few words in the form of a poem. As all of you know, in Hindi, Nirmal means, Nirmala actually comes from the word Nirmal, which means very clean, very soft and serene. So let me speak a few lines. Didi in her interaction is so soft and serene, and she in her words is so royal and pristine. Very soft and serene and very royal and pristine. Her behavior indeed is so divine because she overflows with all the virtues as if coming from a mine. So we can really see that exuding all the virtues from her. And today you will experience that in live. Then as Baba keeps mentioning Didi's names in the spiritual teachings which we have here daily at Brahma Kumaris, she is so childlike and innocent. The fragrance of purity emanates from her as a scent. So childlike and innocent, fragrance of purity coming from her as a scent, which really makes her score always 100%. And therefore, for Gyan Sarovar, she's the incarnation of a saint. So she scores 100% fragrance of a scent, and also she's the incarnation of a saint for Gyan Sarovar and for all of us. And lastly, Didi is the one who always inspires. Her love and cooperation never expires. So she's always the one who inspires. Her love and cooperation never expires. She breathes in God's love as she respires and asks us, all of us humbly, to remove all our desires. So I'll just repeat. She breathes in God's beautiful love as she respires and asks us humbly to remove all our desires. And we are really, again, with this magnificent personality in front of us, we are just eager to hear about the value of tolerance from her. And before I also give it to her, I'll just give a few housekeeping instructions. They are the usual ones. You can see in front of you, the interpretation is mentioned in all the languages. You can click and select whichever you want to. And Didi will be doing a talk for, say, less amount of time, 30-35 minutes, because she said she wants to interact with the audience, and her questions and the questions from the audience should be taken more. So that's what we'll be doing. And your questions are welcome. That after 8, I think it is 8:13 now India time. So by 8:45, Didi may be ending her talk. So by 8:45 onwards, I request you to start putting the questions in the chat box. Not before that, because it disturbs the speaker in between. So with all this introduction and housekeeping, I pass it on to Nirmala Didi for her talk on tolerance. Over to you, Didi.
Om Shanti. Greeting of peace. Tolerance is a very good virtue. And by being tolerant, we are conquering anger. So we become cool, serene, calm, etc. When somebody is tolerant, there is no need to give excuse, because when people get angry, they give excuse, oh, because of this, because of that I got angry and upset. So no question of giving excuses. A tolerant person will be tolerating hunger, thirst, cold, heat, insult, etc., without feeling upset. So we say those who are tolerant are great people and they are powerful. Because they are tolerant, people bow down to them. They don't have waste thought because they are tolerant and they understand that variety people have variety personality. Their sanskars, nature, habits are different. So they, rather than having that personality of being angry or upset, they will maintain coolness. And tolerance is usually more with loving people. As we know, how much a mother tolerates child. Child may be sick, troubling all over night, but mother never complains. She helps the child throughout the ordeal of the child. So love also brings cooperation, because wherever there is love, we cooperate people. And those who are tolerant, they will not have to face the storms of vices or what we call Maya. Maya may come, but not in a huge form. And those who are tolerant can easily fit everywhere because they, especially in a gathering with different personalities and different sanskars, they are able to mold themselves and move along without complaining. And wherever they are, in whatever circumstances, whatever people are around them, they will be able to maintain their cool nature. At this time of cycle, to bow down and tolerate is really greatness. We have example of founder Brahma. He tolerated a lot because the teaching of Brahma Kumaris being new, he had to tolerate. People used to insult, they used to think he's misguiding people. So in order to be tolerant, we have to be determined. In the beginning, sometimes people think, how long have I got to tolerate? But once they are used to it, they remain quiet, they tolerate, and a time will come when the opposite person will change the attitude and will have respect. So never feel disheartened. So tolerance has to be there with simplicity, straightforwardness. Because if somebody is just straightforward and simple, people think he's very innocent and may try to misuse his innocence. But with tolerance and straightforwardness, the person becomes powerful. Whilst we are moving along in this iron age, there will be problems, situation, circumstances, but one has to be wise enough to deal with them. Just as the fire can cook the food, but fire can burn the house also. So to take advantage of fire or to be at disadvantage is depending on an individual. So wisdom has to be used and tolerant. We have to be tolerant. And then we can move forward Otherwise, we can't. What we find in our life, there are some people who are against us, who don't like what we are doing, and especially with BK's lifestyle, food habit, getting up early, then naturally people may dislike us, insult us, or laugh at us. Now, to look at them with merciful attitude and speak with love and be in their contact with love is due to the power of tolerance. There will be obstacles. There may be big problems like mountains, but to consider them as a small toy, obstacles as a small toy, and get along, cross that obstacle, remain light, and make others also light. This is really tolerance. So don't make small stone as a mountain, but make mountain as a playing ball. Merge expansion into essence, and that is tolerance. If one person is sharing his problems and obstacles with expansion, it means they are making their problem as a mountain. But don't go into expansion. Have the awareness, nothing new. Give full stop and move forward. That is, we are bringing expansion into essence. So the tolerant soul will change the problem, obstacles into essence. When there is expansion, I will call it as going through a long path. And when we are in essence, full thinking and talking, it's like shortcut road. And when you are going through a shortcut, then you save your power and you will not be depressed. You will be always happy, cheerful, and cross the obstacles. Tolerant people will not be afraid of anything. They will be full and they go into the depth of knowledge and meditation. So those who are moving in essence, they will always feel full and go into the depth. Those who go into expansion, they feel empty. An empty thing will always be flying. Those who are going into expansion will ask the question, why is this? Why not that? It should be like this. And such thoughts will create more confusion. And they will be jumping. And those who are going on a long road, they will be breathless and feel tired. So the one who is tolerant will be safe from being breathless and tired, and will be always happy and will be flying, not jumping. We have example of the founder Brahma Baba, who was very tolerant and remained unshakable. Though there was lots of opposition, he was always happy. And he didn't have to work hard. For 14 years, those who started in 1936-37, they had good meditation, we call tapasya, and they never felt labor in that. They were always enjoying. And at that time, they had to work hard. Sometimes they had to make balls of cow dung. Somebody became car mechanic. Some of them learned how to make slippers from tire. Somebody was gardener. Some of them, they helped in construction, but they never felt hard work. They were enjoying whatever hard work they were doing. So once we are spiritual, we become all-rounder. Whether it is to give lecture, we are ready. Whether it is to do cooking, cleaning, whatever job to be done, we are happy to do it rather than thinking, oh, do I have to do all these jobs? No. If I am doing it for myself or God, I am enjoying it. And when I'm doing it with my heart, it is like an entertainment and not hard work. Life of Brahma Kumaris. is a life of enjoyment. So whether we are doing ordinary jobs or giving lecture, we enjoy it. Brahma Kumaris' life is to stay in joy, enjoy the life. Whatever situations, circumstances are there is no need to get confused because there is clear knowledge what is happening, why it's happening, what will be the result of my activities. So no need for confusion, but enjoy. Sometimes some Brahma Kumaris, they were discontent, and we had always that desire to make them content. Brahma Baba thought that they are really ruled by their own weakness. So he kept merciful attitude and benevolent attitude. So with power of tolerance and silence, Brahma Baba helped them to move forward. Those who were opposing the institution, because as I said, the lifestyle is different and activities are not usual like a society or their family, but with sweetness and good wishes and tolerance, those who were opposing also, ultimately they asked for forgiveness. And they always used to say, Baba is really great. So those who failed also, Brahma Baba helped them to pass and help them to cross the obstacles. So after tolerating anything, what we need to do is merge that. Don't tell everybody that, oh, I tolerated so much. No. By merging it, you are becoming great and you are not really hurting anybody. Brahma Baba was popular jeweler, very respected in society. But once he started giving new knowledge to create new world, he was defamed a lot. Some people abused him. Some people got angry with him. Some people verbally abused and became enemy and did a lot of opposite demonstration. But with tolerance, he always remained smiling and never got confused or never was afraid of anybody, because he knew that he is giving the true knowledge, and that will ultimately create a new world of peace, prosperity, happiness. So he continued giving this knowledge in spite of so much opposition, and he remained friendly with everybody. And our slogan is, those who defame us, they are our friends, because they are helping us to check how much tolerant we are. And those who abuse us, love them, embrace them. And it happened that once upon a time, a reporter in early 50s wrote an article that Brahma Baba or Lekhraj Dada, that was his original name, has 400 queens, and he wants 16,108 queens, like Krishna is supposed to have 16,108. Because in the early days, everybody had vision of Krishna through Brahma Baba, and there were about 400 Brahma Kumaris who were totally dedicated. So Jagdish Bhai, who was our spokesperson, he went to Brahma Baba and asked Baba, should I write an article about it? And Brahma Baba said, no, make him friend. Invite him for tea and snacks and explain to him. And Jagdish Bhai did it. And the result was he really became friend and understood the correct thing. So Brahma Baba, with his power of tolerance, taught us also how to be tolerant, because in the beginning, especially in India, there was a lot of opposition from parents of Kumars and Kumaris who were following this path. And they said, we want to dedicate our life for the spiritual service. We don't want to get married. And the parents would not agree with that. So they tried to put so much obstacles in their path. And naturally, they had to sometimes stay outside house in a winter. After coming from class, the parents would not allow them to come in the house. But they tolerated and kept on studying. And today they are really appreciated by their parents. And especially 36, 37 in early days, the Sindhi community was really against Brahma Kumaris. And some of the sisters and mothers, they were locked in their house at night so that they cannot go for morning class in the morning. One of the family had 7 doors, so there were 7 locks outside the house. The same uncle who was stopping this Kumaris and mothers, after 15 years, when they saw in Mumbai that these Brahma Kumaris are not only Sindhis, but Gujarati, Marathi, from all walks of life. What they did is, they saw that their girls who got married had alcoholic husband, they had to divorce, etc. So they started telling this Brahma Kumaris, oh, you have done good thing. You have dedicated your life for the spiritual service. See these girls who are married, they are so unhappy. You are so happy. So in the beginning, people may not like what Brahma Kumaris are doing, but after a while, they realize that we have done a good job, we are happy, and we are making other people more spiritual, enlightened, and empowering them. So Baba empowered women in general and everybody in gender. So right from beginning, Brahma Baba put women in front. Luckily for me, my parents were very cooperative. At the age of 17, I said I want to do social service as a doctor and not get married. My parents said, okay, go and study medicine. And after becoming Brahma Kumaris, I said, now I don't want to get married. I am married to my cause of spiritual service. And they said, okay, you are mature, you can do whatever you like. So luckily, I had no opposition anyway, though my parents tried to convince me that traditional scriptures and Hindu worship is okay. But I said, you try and see if there is anything wrong with Brahma Kumaris and tell me, then I will leave. And he said, no, you can do whatever you like. So luckily, my life was very easy knowledge, easy yoga, and easy life. Om Shanti.
Thank you so much, Didi. I was just engrossed in listening to your personal life experience, and fantastic you shared that. And today we got, I really like the way you mentioned about two important things. The first thing which I liked was you mentioned about, which I've never heard of it in the tolerance way. You said that we have to move from expanse to essence. And if you do that, which shows that you have the power to tolerate. And very other important power is when someone is tolerating, but if just someone goes and says out to others, oh, I tolerated so much. He has not merged it. In Hindi, we call samane ki shakti. So as you rightly said that we need to merge it and not tell it out to someone else, because that will show our weakness, and then it is not a power. And second important thing which you mentioned, a question has come right now in front of me on that. You said that to develop tolerance we need to have a merciful attitude. So someone is asking, if my husband is beating me daily, and this is very common in India, the physical beatings, not so much abroad. In India, the mothers are beaten by the fathers, I mean by their husbands. And she's saying that I take care of my children very well. I take care of a job. I do everything properly, but my husband beats me and he doesn't even help me in anything. So how do I tolerate this? Very common scene in India.
Om Shanti. I think the mother has to be soul conscious and go beyond the pain, or go beyond thinking that she is being a victim of what we call is house bashing or women bashing or whatever it is. And I have seen the husbands ultimately giving up. I had in Bombay one mother whose husband used to get very angry, upset, and throw her out of the house. She had to go to her parents' house 2-3 times. Then once at 10 o'clock at night, he threw her out of the house when she was only in her night dress. She went and slept whole night in the terrace because she couldn't go anywhere at that time. In the morning, when milkman came, she went in her house. So he came to me also to say, don't allow my wife to come to the center. And I said, our center is like a temple. In temple, priest won't say, don't come. If you don't want to send your wife, you stop her at home. Don't tell me to stop her to come here. And after few years, he became BK, and he's still BK. His daughter is surrendered. So I've seen quite a few BKs. One husband, he was in Gyan, wife was not in Gyan. So she tried to commit suicide by throwing kerosene on her, and she went on the railway track to commit suicide. After a few years, she also came to Gyan. So the thing is, if you keep on tolerating for a while, ultimately, and you have yoga power, then ultimately your opposition or those who are creating trouble will stop it. And I'm sure you will get so much power through yoga to tolerate Don't allow negative feeling for your husband. Don't be having fear. Don't have animosity. Just have mercy, because he's doing sinful karma. So have mercy that his sanskar or habits are not good, and ultimately his mind will change.
Okay. Thank you, Didi. A beautiful solution, practicing soul consciousness, and also that will help us in developing the merciful attitude. So, this was about tolerance towards personal problems and personal issues. There are quite a few questions again about accepting things on a bigger level. So, I'll just ask 4 questions in one, because all of them, the basic thing is there are corrupt politicians around. There is so much of racism and terrorism going on in the society. Then there is rape of young girls. So everything in the society which is sort of not the way it should be. How do we tolerate all those misgivings and all those injustice? Because that is, in one way, we are keeping silent and we are just bearing that. How will these people change? How do we tolerate this?
In this iron age, we can't expect people to be honest, pure, and being nice. No expectation. And even for them, if we have merciful attitude and we forgive them, then we will not have negative thought and forget the past. So until the urn of sin is full, it will not be destroyed. And that's what Bhagavad Gita says, or in some of the scriptures, that God should receive 100 abuses before the enemy was destroyed. So in Iron Age, we can't expect people to be nice. Whoever we can help with our merciful, loveful, sweet, positive attitude, we try to help them. But there are so many people who are corrupt, doing wrong things, rape, etc. It's really difficult for individual to help them. So with our powerful, peaceful vibration, we try to help as many people as possible.
Okay, great. Thank you, Didi. One more question on tolerance is again in the interpersonal relationships, that someone is doing a mistake. He's one of my colleagues. He's doing a mistake again and again. And because of his mistakes, I have to bear the losses. So, how can I keep tolerating his mistakes all the time?
If he is only your colleague, then you can report to your boss. Because otherwise, if you keep on tolerating, the loss is for the boss. And so best is to report to boss and let boss decide what he wants to do.
Okay, great. Simple and sweet answer. Okay, now since you are a doctor and a doctor is asking this, that from a doctor's perspective, how do you help a patient or a friend to tolerate something like suffering from an incurable disease or an incurable malignancy or something? So, from a doctor's perspective, how do we help them to tolerate that situation?
As a doctor, we would give them painkiller. And yesterday only, I was asked by one of the Australian sisters that in Australia, they said that if you want euthanasia, you can write, and in that situation, you will be getting relieved from the life. Because in some countries, euthanasia is legal, and many people go all the way to Europe, I think Switzerland, or where there is allowed to have euthanasia. So they go there to get it done. So main thing will be painkiller, because doctors can always put them on morphine, and morphine, pethidine can help them to relieve the pain. They don't need to tolerate the suffering. And secondly, what I find is meditation helps us to go beyond pain. We go beyond body and go beyond pain. So little pain doesn't affect us. But if it is too much pain, even Brahma Kumaris are given morphine or pethidine injection.
Right. Thank you, Didi. Then there's another interesting question that Didi is also very senior, not only in age, but also in position. So you can share your experience that if someone comes and uses disrespectful words towards you, so as a senior, what thoughts do you use inside yourself to tolerate and forgive that person?
I really will listen but not listen. Baba said, hear no evil, and have merciful attitude towards that person. I'll just keep quiet and let the person vomit out whatever they want to vomit. It wouldn't affect me.
Right. Thank you, Didi, for those crisp answers. Okay. Sorry. Yeah, there are quite a few questions coming, so I'm just thinking which to take. Okay, someone is asking that do I have to keep tolerating always? When will the other person start tolerating as well? Can't he learn some tolerance from me?
Main thing is, if you feel that something is injustice, you can speak sweetly and lovingly and tell what is right, what is wrong. But not get angry and upset. Main thing is, we should not become angry or upset. We have to really speak up, but sweetly. And if somebody doesn't change, then it is their karma. And everybody will have to receive the result of their karma. If they are giving sorrow to others, naturally they will receive sorrow. Because if they are speaking anything angrily, upset, or abusing, or whatever they are doing, they are creating their sinful karma. So let them get justice of their karma, which will be natural and automatic. I don't have to be judged.
Good. So we don't need to judge people. Perfect. Another very practical question coming up, particularly in India, a participant is asking. Again, it's a doctor who's asking this question. That in India nowadays, violence towards doctors is very, very common. When doctors are beaten up by the patient's relatives, if they hear the bad news, the death of a patient, something like that, or if they are disturbed. So, how do I apply tolerance that time when I'm doing my duty and they are beating me for that? How do I tolerate that?
Uh, I don't think he has to tolerate it, because nowadays they can always complain to police.
Yeah.
And recently with COVID, I have seen many news clippings as doctors have been beaten. Even when they are going to give vaccine, they are given some beatings. They are throwing stones to the doctors or nurses, etc. So, India, people take law in their hand, and we have to also go with police and complain FIR against them.
Right. So thank you. So some legal action should be taken, but my state of mind should not be disturbed by whatever is happening. Great. Another deep question about three different values. Two of them are related to tolerance. So the person is asking, what is the difference between tolerance, acceptance, and understanding? Acceptance and understanding in relation to tolerance.
The thing is, understand whatever is happening is according to drama or my karma. Why I am associated with such violent person? This must be my karma, and it is drama that they are acting like that. So that is understanding of knowledge of karma and drama will help us. So we have to accept the situation, because if somebody is married to a violent person, that's a situation they had to accept it. Or in Western world, they would give divorce and say goodbye. So either accept it or separate from violent situation. And third thing is tolerance. Tolerant because India, it's not easy to separate or divorce, because women are usually bashed and they don't have earning capacity, education, they have children. So for the children's sake, they have to stay with husband, because many times the parents also will not accept the girls. They say, no, you stay with your husband, tolerate. So in those situations, they have to tolerate.
Right. This next question is closely related to the teachings of Brahma Kumaris, the knowledge, the Raj Yoga meditation, which is taught here. It is about the 8 powers particularly. So Didi, you mentioned about one of the powers, that is power to merge or accommodate, and don't mention about what you're tolerating. The question is about that how do we use the powers correctly? For example, when we are dealing with people's different behaviors and sanskars, should we use the power of tolerance there, or should we face them? And vice versa, if it is a difficult situation, should I just sit down depressed and tolerate it, or I should learn to face it? So how do we use the powers correctly?
Main thing is you need to have power of judgment and discernment. With those 2 powers, you decide whether you want to face it, fight it, or tolerate it. Because we are taught to have balance, being sweet as well as strict. So we have to decide when we have to be strict, when we have to be sweet, when we have to be lawful, when we have to be loveful. So balance. Because if we are all the time loving to children and not exerting law, they will get spoiled. So we have to be lawful or disciplined at times. So that we have to discern as when to be loveful, when to be lawful. Because we have to do both. And if our intellect is clear, our judgment will be right. And we may fight or we may tolerate.
Yeah, thank you so much, Didi. Now, another question about 2 souls in the family. Their relationship is not very strong. So, one soul is making full effort to make things better, but the other soul doesn't care at all and keeps making the situations more and more difficult. So, as a third person in the family, how do I tolerate all this, and how do I do things to make them patch up?
I think it's good for a wise person to be mediator and mediate between them and tell them what's right and what is wrong, what should be done, what should not be done, so that the house is peaceful. Because main thing is, in a family, we want peace and happiness, enjoy the life, and not keep on fighting all the time. So the third person, if that person is wise, that has to be sweetly, silently, lovingly mediate between them.
Okay. So we have a few more minutes. I'll take a few more questions, Didi. That's okay, no? And then 9:15, we'll have the vote of thanks, and then the closing meditation. So I'll take a few more questions. A brother is asking that it is often said that it is better to tolerate out of willingness rather than compulsion. What is the impact of tolerating by compulsion?
If you are tolerating because of compulsion, it will be really having effect on your health. Because by tolerating through pressure, you will have headache or backache or something like that. And so you should not tolerate by compulsion, it will have effect on your health. If you are tolerating from your sincere heart, then at least your health will not be affected, and your relations also will not be so much strained.
Okay. Thank you, Didi. And someone is asking that can Didi share a personal story of how she overcame an obstacle by tolerating it over a long period of time?
Yeah. When I was in Australia, the Brahma Kumaris teaching are mainly based on Indian philosophy or spirituality. Now, Australians, when they were young or new BK, they were all right. And they used to follow all the system. But after about 5, 7, 10 years of knowledge, they started thinking, have we become Brahma Kumaris as to become Indian, or we are spiritual being only? So they started resisting on Hindi songs being played, offering bhog, brothers wearing kurta pajama, sisters wearing sari, having long hairs and plaits. So for 10 years, they started having meeting every 15 days or 1 month. Those who were in center, they started questioning what we are doing and why we are doing this. And myself and Charlie had to listen to their complaints. And we listened. And there were 2 groups. One group said, means they were not in that group participation, but they said, we want to have Indian music. We want traffic control, Indian music to remind us of Madhuban. We want to offer bhog and have Indian music. So we carried on what we were supposed to carry on. I said, I am following Madhuban direction. We don't want to make you Indian. But whatever the system in Madhuban, we are following. And we kept on following that. So after 10 years of discussion, those who didn't want to follow BK system, they left. And those who wanted to follow Madhuban system, they carried on. And it went on. So Charlie also says, Didi, let us listen. Let us sit together and listen to their complaint. And it went on and went on and went on. And result was, those who wanted to be Pakka became Pakka. Those who didn't want to follow, they said Om Shanti and went.
Right. Thank you so much, Didi, for spending this beautiful 1 hour, 15 minutes. And this is the first time I really feel that I enjoyed it literally, your personal and informal talk with us on the power of tolerance. Thank you once again immensely. And now with this, I would request our seniors with us, Dr. Ashok Mehta and Sister Claudia from Vancouver, both of them to propose the vote of thanks. So we'll start with Dr. Ashok Mehta first. Over to Dr. Mehta.
Om Shanti Nirmala Ben. Such a pleasure to listen to your elevated thoughts on tolerance, especially your personal experiences. I would like to share some of my experiences with Nirmala Ben. Many of you may not know that we were classmates in the medical school and spent 6 years together from 1955 to 1961. As a matter of fact, Nirmala Ben had these high qualities of remaining quiet, being very, very simple, and antarmukhi, very introvert. I think those were the qualities which were inbuilt in her. She's born yogi. And I lost touch with her from 1961 onwards. And only once in a way, someone told me that she had become a sannyasin. We didn't know much about her till I met her in 1990 in Vilaypalle Center after operating on Dadi Gulzar. Nirmala Ben was visiting from Australia. And it was such a pleasant meeting. And to see her and to see that she was a special instrument of Baba for services across the world. I think sometimes we do not realize the potential of a simple person. That's what I have noticed about Nirmala Ben. I've heard from Yogini Ben and Meera Ben, who were staying in the same building as Nirmala Ben. Nirmala Ben was probably a little senior to them, and she was going to Brahma Baba when he used to visit Mumbai at the Waterloo Mansion, where he used to have old classes. That probably at that time the gathering used to be very small, and Nirmala Ben used to travel all the way from Kandivali to Churchgate and to near Regal Cinema. That would take you an hour and a half to travel every day. And Yogini Ben and Meera Ben followed in her footsteps. She was their guide, or one would say their teacher, to bring them to the path of Baba. I think Nirmala Ben has done a tremendous work in the last 60 years almost. And to see her in the present day, I still go back to my days to remember her simplicity. Nirmala Ben, it has been such a pleasure to see you after all these years in a different perspective. And we thank you for your lovely talk today and a tremendous personal touch to your talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mehta. I mean, we never were aware of these interactions on a Lokik way as well between both of you being in the medical college together. Fantastic. Thanks for sharing that. And over to Dr. Claudia. Dr. Claudia is our sister, is also a doctor, for information of all the people who don't know. So over to Sister Claudia for the vote of thanks from her side.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Didi. It was wonderful to hear you speaking and gave us some hints, like to tolerate. When we tolerate, we don't need to give excuse. We don't need to hear the excuse. And so we would be able to finish the anger of the other one. We kind of tolerate when they speak very angry to us or say some words that's not very nice. How we can react to that one is about no reaction and just let them do whatever they want. So it's quite nice to hear from you all those tips for our life about to be tolerant and to live a happy life. Because I think at the end, when we tolerate, we become happier. So thank you for sharing these points with us. And I am sure that everyone like it. And thank you for your time and your love and your cooperation to us to become a better person. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Claudia, sister. And I would also request Brother Eric to say a few words before we go on to the meditation. Thank you.
Thank you. Just wanted to again thank you, Didi Nirmala. And I brought you a beautiful rose to start this program. I'd like to now show you a big Canadian maple leaf to close. And it's lovely. Your examples are very practical and explanation are very, as I said, very useful. So thank you and loving greetings, Dr. Ashok Mehta. Always a pleasure to know you're connected with this program. And in a way, it's almost as if we have you also in Canada every time. So lovely. Happy to be with all of you. And again, big thank you from the heart. And we look forward to come and see you in Madhuban very soon. We should be there.
Thank you so much, all of you. It feels I don't want to leave all of you, but time is the border now. So I'll just request Anu sister to quickly do the announcements before we go on to the meditation. Yeah.
Thank you, Brother Manoj. After this very inspiring and with so much sweetness, the talk from our very own Didi, Dr. Nirmala, we join us for the values workshop next week on tolerance towards practicing further this value in our life practically. So it is happening on Saturday, 14th of August, evening 7:30 p.m. for India time. And that would be 7 a.m. West Coast, US, Canada, and 10 a.m. East Coast, US and Canada, and UK 3 p.m. And we'll have experiential exercises followed by the insightful talk by our guest speaker, Gopi sister. So please join us then. And our next session on Values for Life series is episode 20 on purity, that is in Hindi, Pavitrata. And it's happening just after 2 weeks, same time. And we are having our great fortune of having our very own national coordinator of the Brahma Kumaris Canada, Brother Eric Larist. You saw him today. So please join us, mark your calendar, and let's let Brother Eric take us through this deep dive into purity, the spiritual power, purity. And you can get more information about all these programs on our websites, www.vihasa.in and www.vancouver.brahmakumaris. You can contact us on our emails. Thank you, everyone. Over to you, Manoj Bhai.
Yeah, thank you, Sister Anu. We request now Nirmala Didi to just do a little bit of meditation on tolerance, next 5 to 7 minutes. Over to Didi. So, thank you so much, Didi, for this powerful drishti and the powerful talk. Thank you so much once again.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you.